Hey guys, I'm back with another Batmobile. This time we're going to be taking a look at the Eaglemoss model of the Batmobile from Detective Comics number 186. This is the Flying Batcave, and this is one of the subscriber special editions, so it is slightly bigger than some of the other Eaglemoss models. Now, I love this outlandish idea of a flying Batcave because, it's a perfect example of something that we find from the Silver Age of Detective Comics. It's right up there with those issues that feature Batman and Robin being trapped on top of a giant typewriter or something like that. Now, Detective Comics 186 came out back in 1952 and was written by David Verne Reed. The story basically revolves around Robin being kidnapped by some gangsters, and in order to rescue Robin, Batman literally signs an agreement to stay off of the streets of the city for 1 week. And with Batman off the streets, the gangsters and the criminals, they think they'll be free to carry out whatever crime they want to. It's crazy, I know. But Batman honors his signed agreement to stay off of the streets. And what's funny is, right after he signs the agreement, the gangsters release Robin. But now, Batman is stuck in this agreement, and of course, he wants to keep his word to the gangsters, so he and Robin have to find another solution to fight crime. Again, it's funny because today we think of Batman, just breaking the legs of these gangsters until they told him what he needed to know. In this case, Batman finds a loophole in his agreement. He won't literally set foot in the city, so he builds this ginormous flying Batcave so he and Robin can fight crime by flying over the city. The magazine points out how it has a miniature version of virtually everything Batman has in the real Batcave. And when you look at the cross sections in the magazine, it shows the multiple levels. It has everything from the standard investigative equipment, it has sleeping quarters, it has a garage with a mini version of the Batmobile and a miniature submarine. And what I think is funny is the fact that Batman went through the trouble of having a trophy room like the real Batcave. It comes complete with a giant Joker card and replicas of the giant Penny and the T-Rex. Again, it's so over the top, and it's a quintessential example of the kind of thing that we'd expect to find from the Silver Age. So, taking a closer look at the diorama. Just open it up here. Got to be careful with the propellers when you're opening it. The model itself actually sits on a clear plastic piece, I guess to sort of make it look like the flying Batcave is floating. And the base itself is a print of a grass field where the Batcave has landed. And it has a few highlights here on the side. But I love how it has this dotted print, almost the way you would find printed copies of old comics, right? They have that dotted pattern in the color. Now, the background and this scene in the diorama actually comes from Detective Comics number 317, which was written by Bill Finger. In that issue, Batman and Robin pay a visit to a crime fighters convention in Center City, and Batman gives this stirring speech to the visiting police officers. And after that, as part of his presentation, the dynamic duo, they give the rookie police officers a tour of the flying Batcave. Teach them how to hone their detective skills. The image is not an actual panel from the book, but the artists at Eaglemoss did a good job of recreating this scene in the 3D lenticular. It shows Batman and Robin standing at the podium, and Batman is giving his speech on how to be a vigilante crime fighter, reminding everyone that crime does not pay. I like the fact that the diorama shows us what we imagine happening in the comic, where the Batcave comes flying in, it lands on this field, and then Batman and Robin are standing there addressing these rookie police officers. And then there's this TV camera kind of hovering on the right there to kind of document this important event in crime fighting history. So let's take a closer look at the flying Batcave inside the Batcave. Now, what's funny is, in the issue of Detective Comics, Batman does build this flying Batcave inside the real Batcave. I'm not sure how he gets it out, but, he's Batman. So the construction of this model is pretty standard for the large-scale Eaglemoss Batmobiles. The main body is a hard plastic, and the back propeller, these fins on the bottom, and then the propellers on the top are a basic plastic. The propellers on the top are pretty thin, so you want to be careful if you take this out of the case. The blue body has these rivets or bolts throughout, but those are just painted on like the bat symbol. There's nothing on the underbelly. It's just a flat base with the screw holes for the stand. And actually in the comics, we mainly see the exterior of the flying Batcave from the bottom angle. You know, it would have been cool if they had added that escape hatch or something else on the underbelly of the model. Now, they made an effort to show the inside of the flying Batcave, but none of it is really to scale. You know, you see the two pilot seats in the front there. Then you have the computers and the giant magnifying glass on the side. Unfortunately, the model can't include everything that we see in the cross sections. You know, the interior of the flying Batcave is not as big as we see it in the comics, but I think Eaglemoss did a pretty good job with giving us a model that is a representation of the shape of this flying Batmobile. They really would have had to triple the size of this model, you know, to make it seem like it could hold all the different levels, the vehicles, all the equipment, and of course, the trophies that Batman decided to put in this thing. Let's do a couple of quick side-by-side comparisons. The first one I want to do is with the Batmobile from Detective Comics number 37. I wanted to do a side-by-side with this one to show you the scale, but also because it's very similar to the mini Batmobile that Batman supposedly keeps inside the flying Batcave. They show it in the magazine where Batman has the garage section inside. And granted, it's supposed to be a smaller Batmobile, but he keeps it in there along with his mini sub and everything else. The Batmobile from Detective Comics 37 is one of my favorite Batmobiles, and I really should do a video for this one someday. Another comparison I want to do is with another Batmobile that is a great example of that over-the-top imagination that we find in the Silver Age. This is the Bat Train, and Batman's train premiered in Batman number 95. And I know Bruce Wayne can probably afford it, but why Batman has this old-style locomotive is just so zany and over-the-top. And of course, the Bat Train has to be painted black, right? It's got to have the bat symbol on it. And in case you still didn't know it was Batman coming down the track, he has the bat cowl on the front of the train. It's awesome. You gotta love it. In closing, I think Eaglemoss gave us a nice little representation of this creative Batmobile from the Silver Age of comics. This is another model that may not be a must-have in your collection. The design of the model is pretty basic, and the real interest is what's supposed to be on the inside, right? Now, my favorite part, as always, is going back and reading some of these older comics from that point in history. Comics that I probably wouldn't have read otherwise. And I've said this in some of my other videos, but I think this Eaglemoss collection was important because it gave us this great overview of Batman's history. I love it because the Silver Age of comics is in that same category as the 66 Batman or an animated series like Batman Brave and the Bold. So, we've been looking at the Eaglemoss Batman Automobilia Subscribers Special, the Flying Batcave from Detective Comics number 186. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.